and that planet is but one in a vast solar system of planets. And that solar system of planets is but one in a vast galaxy of 100 billion solar systems. And that galaxy of 100 billion solar systems is but one in a vast universe of hundreds of billions of galaxies. And still they fight for worthless, dusty real estate because someone wrote down thousands of years ago that their deity said it belonged exclusively to them. Humanity's slavish adherence to religion keeps millions of people behaving like tantrum-throwing toddlers. How conceited, how narcissistic, what outsized hubris it takes to claim your tribe has divine favor over all others. Faith, the very thing held up as the answer to all of our problems, is the source of those problems. It's what drives Hezbollah to launch missiles into Israel. It's what inspires Israel to carpet bomb Beirut. It's what inspires Christian militants to murder Muslims in the Central African Republic. It's what drove 19 men to fly fully loaded passenger jets into Manhattan skyscrapers. This is faith-based behavior. If we as a species destroy ourselves, it won't be because anything written in one particular book of apocalyptic fairy tales was correct. It will be because enough people believed in those fairy tales to literally end themselves fighting over it. Religion forces us to see each other as tribes rather than one great and beautiful human community. The irony, of course, is that because of religion's influence and power to steer humans toward destructive courses, we actually can bring about Armageddon. We might literally wipe every human off the face of history. The only life we are certain even exists in this boundless cosmos, all because we held to ancient superstitions and myths so tightly that we were willing to literally destroy ourselves in their service. Everything humans have accomplished, have loved, produced, and aspired to, would end. Since our species was in its infancy, it has looked to the skies and cowered in terror as comets passed overhead, or the moon turned the color of blood. We interpreted the rumbling of the earth or the bluster of great storms as God's wrath. We did this because we didn't know any better. Unable to explain the world around us, we made up our own answers. But those days of superstition should be behind us. As 21st century people, we have no excuse for still seeing angry gods in hurricanes or blood moons. Raising faith above rationality, superstition above science, belief above evidence, is not something to be proud of. We are smarter than that, and it's time we began acting like it. Christians, when you read that the universe was created out of a giant golden egg, as the Hindus believe, you dismiss it out of hand. Clearly, it's foolishness. When you read that after death, we all become God and rule over our own planet, as the Mormons believe, you dismiss it out of hand. Clearly, it's foolishness. When you read that Muhammad flew to heaven on a winged horse, as the Muslims believe, you dismiss it out of hand because clearly it's foolishness. But you don't blink when Elijah is caught up into heaven by a chariot of fire, or a man lives for days inside of a large fish, or two of every living creature cram into a single boat, or the earth ceases rotating. It's time to stop believing in something that regularly breaks the laws of nature. It's time to stop believing in prehistoric gardens with magic fruit trees and talking snakes. It's time to stop believing in floating zoos, a flood that covered the entire earth, and people who lived to be nearly 1,000 years old. It's time to stop believing in towers built to reach heaven. It's time to stop believing in parting oceans, talking donkeys, controlling demons, guardian angels, evil curses, signs, and wonders. It's time to stop believing in the end times, prophets, virgin births, people who rise from the dead, the Antichrist, Lucifer, wars that generate blood up to a horse's bridle, and locusts the size of cows. It's time to stop believing in an eternal paradise made just for those who believe like you, and a hell of fire and brimstone for those who don't. And yes, it's time to stop believing in God. It's time to start accepting reality for all that it is, in all of its messy and glorious wonder. It's time to be overwhelmed by the size and age of the cosmos. It's time to be awed by the beauty of evolution as revealed by science. It's time to see the same sort of majesty in reality that you currently find in fantasy. I assure you, a godless, faithless life is not the cesspool of meaninglessness, depravity, and despair you've been told it is. Since abandoning my faith, I am a far happier, more contented, and peaceful person. And I'm a far, far less fearful person. I now consider moral issues, not in black and white binaries, but I examine their many nuances, taking into account what science has revealed about the flourishing and well-being of both humans and animals. I no longer live my life thinking that this existence is merely a way station on the way to something better, but rather our singular chance to exist. I count myself infinitely lucky that I get to experience this extraordinary planet and the cosmos in which it swims, with a sundry smattering of beguiling human beings, red and yellow, black and white, all precious in my sight. The view from up here is absolutely breathtaking. There's nothing to be afraid of. Won't you join us?